Well, hello there YouTube, it's me, Mr. Redapple, and in today's video we're going to try and figure out which is my favourite game of all time. Now I've played a lot of games, whether it be on a PC, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever it might be, so it's going to be quite tough to figure this out. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to pick one game from each of the consoles I've played, and I'm going to pull them all together and try and figure out which one of those was the best game I've ever played. So coming up next, it's Mr. Redapple's favourite game of all time. So we're going to start off by going way back to my first ever games console, which was the PlayStation 1. Now I'm not going to tell you that my favourite games straight off the bat, but there's a couple of honourable mentions here, and I'm going to do that with sort of every console, just name a couple of games that I did really like, because it's not easy actually when you look back. So honourable mentions for the PlayStation 1 is firstly Rayman, which is a little platform game, which is really fun, the graphics are super cool, and you could just play it for hours and hours and hours. The next game, which I also really enjoyed, was Siphon Filter. However, I never actually got past the first level. I remember looking back, but in nostalgia as a child, just never getting past the first level. I looked at a walkthrough on YouTube before and I thought, I don't recognise any of this game. It was just the first 10 minutes. I just used to play that over and over again. I don't know why. Obviously, the game was way too hard for me. But anyway, yeah. So they're my two honourable mentions for the PlayStation 1. And the winner is Spyro the Dragon. Obviously, Spyro the Dragon, an epic game. I used to play that with my sisters all the time, and the graphics seemed out of this world when you played it. So much fun, replayability. I mean, I played it back when I was in high school with friends. Yeah, so Spyro is my favourite game on the PlayStation. So next, I guess we'll do the Sony consoles in sort of a little bit of an order. So we'll go PlayStation 2 next. There's quite a few games I used to play on that, actually. I used to enjoy playing on the PlayStation 2, but it was kind of, I didn't have it for that long. I had an Xbox, so I didn't really play that many games on the PlayStation 2. But the two games I've got here, one is obviously the winner, and my favourite PlayStation 2 game. The other is an honourable mention, and this was very, very close. The honourable mention for the PlayStation 2 is SSX Tricky. I assume most of you have played that game before. It was a sort of snowboarding, out of this world, do tricks and crazy things. It was really, really fun, and it was multiplayer like all games were back then. You could play locally with a friend, and yeah, really, really fun. So SSX Tricky is the honourable mention for the PlayStation 2. However, the winner, and the game that I played hundreds of hours, I'd probably say, the hundreds of hours that I played on the PlayStation was mainly played on this game, was Simpsons Hit and Run. I mean, I must have completed that game about 5-6 times. I used to absolutely love it. And the reason why I loved it so much was because I was never allowed to play Grand Theft Auto as a kid, because I borrowed it off a friend once, and Grand Theft Auto 3, and my mum came in and she wasn't too happy about me playing it, so this was sort of the next best thing, really. It was like GTA for kids, so I used to play it a lot. So the winner of my favourite PS2 game is Simpsons Hit and Run. So up next is the PlayStation 3, and this is sort of the time when I played a lot of online games, a lot of online games with my friends. The two games that I played the most of and probably enjoyed the most, second place is FIFA 12, believe it or not. I used to play a lot of that game. It's one of my favourite FIFAs. Not sure why, maybe just because I was good at that one. Not really good at the other FIFAs. FIFA 12 for me was my game, so yeah, FIFA 12 is second. But the game I played the absolute most of was Battlefield 3. Play that online all the time. Really, really good game. So Battlefield 3 was my favourite game on the PlayStation 3. So next up is the PlayStation 4, and that is what I'm playing on now. It's the console I've got at the minute, and one of my friends would tell you that I buy lots of games for the PlayStation 4. I've probably got over about 70 games and have completed one of them, just one. It's really bad. I have this strange addiction to buying PlayStation games, and the one game that wins this is the one game that I completed, actually. A couple of honourable mentions: played a lot of Battlefield 1, played with my housemate. It's a brilliant game in my opinion. And Black Ops 3, just play that online a lot. There's decent games, but I just don't finish them, so I can't really warrant me saying it's my favourite game. But a little bit like Siphon Filter, but hey ho, that was a good memory. The winner, my favourite game on PlayStation 4, is Grand Theft Auto 5. Now the story mode is quality. The story is really good, and I've played the majority of Grand Theft Autos. But the reason why it sort of has a space on my list is because it's the only game I've completed on the PlayStation 4. I'm not a completionist. Not since I've played sort of these next-gen consoles. I used to spend lots of time trying to complete games, but recently I haven't. Just don't have the time, which you might find amazing because I'm sat here talking to you about my games. But yeah, so the winner of the PlayStation 4, my favourite game was GTA 5. So we're going back in time again now. We're going over to the Microsoft consoles. I don't own an Xbox One, so only the 360 and the original Xbox will feature in this little list I'm doing here. So, original Xbox. I have some really good memories of that, especially playing with friends. It was sort of the console for me, which was, if I look back, if I had to choose one console that I could only play for the rest of my life, it would probably be the Xbox, just because of the memories I've had on it. So a couple of games off the top of my head that really stand out for me. First of all is Fable, the original Fable. Quality game. Really good storyline and sort of the role-playing aspects of it. I'm really into that with games. So Fable features. Project Gotham Racing is a game I actually got free with my Xbox. Used to play that a lot, and I love my racing games, so some good memories on that. But the winner, standout winner on the original Xbox, was in fact Halo Combat Evolve. That game is uncomparable to others in terms of memories. I used to play that every weekend with my best friend at the time, and have some really good memories of playing Halo Combat Evolved. So that's the winner of my favourite Xbox game. So moving on to the Xbox 360 now. Didn't really have this console for too long, to be honest with you. So I was playing the sort of FIFAs and things like that at the time. But the two games for me that I used to play a lot of when I did have the console was Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which obviously is a classic. The first one, or COD 4. Absolute classic of a game. Used to play that a lot. I didn't actually play much of it online on the Xbox 360 because my dad didn't buy me, didn't get me live when I was a kid. So I had to play single player or with a mate. So yeah, but brilliant game. The campaign was quality. My favourite game on the Xbox 360 was Fable 2. So obviously I mentioned the first Fable on the original Xbox. Fable 2, just for me anyway, took it a little bit that one step further. A few more elements in the game that were really good. So yeah, for the Xbox 360 it's Fable 2. So if we're speaking about all the consoles, I guess I'll have to speak about the Nintendo Wii. Wii Sports. That's it really. It's the only game I played. Yeah, Wii Sports wins. So sticking with Nintendo, we're kind of messed the order up a little bit here, but we'll go to the Nintendo 64. Now I never actually owned this console, but my childminder at the time, her son had the console, and there was one game which you could probably guess what I'm going to say already. Absolute staple of it's now retro gaming is James Bond 007 GoldenEye. What a quality game! And it was one of the first sort of multiplayer games that I played with the childminder's son. Can't remember his name now. We used to play that all the time, and obviously I spent a lot of time at childminders, so I've got a lot of keen memories of that game. So, and to be honest, I can't really remember any other games on it because I honestly didn't play much of it. Just GoldenEye. So GoldenEye is the winner of the Nintendo 64 category. The only option, but yeah, Nintendo 64. GoldenEye was my favourite game. Now another console that I didn't actually own, but another childminder's son had it. It was the Dreamcast. It was Sonic. I used to play a lot of Sonic at that childminder's house, so it has to be mentioned in this. A lot of good memories playing on that game. Mainly watching, to be fair, because he was a bit older than me and wouldn't let me play it that much. But when I did blag a go, which maybe was for a few seconds at a time, yeah, I enjoyed it. So Sonic features. Favourite Dreamcast game. So I guess we'll talk about the handheld devices now. I've not really owned too many of them. The ones I have owned, we'll start off with the PSP. I'm not going to do too many honourable mentions on these ones because I didn't really play handheld games that often. But Monster Hunter on the PSP was a game that you could play if you had Wi-Fi, connected to your Wi-Fi, you could play with your friend. And two of my mates had PSPs, and we'd connect to the Wi-Fi and play that together. So Monster Hunter was good. Not really into sort of Capcom games, to be fair. Not my style, but this game was really good, and I know they're making a new one on the PlayStation and Xbox One very shortly on PC, which I'll look out for definitely because there's some nostalgia to be had with that game. So yeah, Monster Hunter was my favourite PSP game. Now the Game Boy, the original, the brick, which was grey. There's some pictures of me sat in my nappies, just sort of playing that in the nude pretty much when I was a kid, obviously not now. So yeah, the only game I really remember from it, because I must have been really young when I had that, was Super Mario Land. It's the only logical choice really. It's a classic, and I wish I'd kept hold of it because it's probably worth a bit of money now, to be fair. But yeah, the original Game Boy, and I also had it on Game Boy Color, it was Super Mario Land. Then Game Boy Advanced had sort of year 6-ish time, so it would have been about 10, maybe 10, 11 years old. Pokemon Emerald. I had quite a few games on that as well. Some weird tennis game and all sorts of stuff. But Pokemon Emerald, just because all my friends used to play it, I used to love it. I'm not massively into Pokemon, to be fair. Didn't really join that Pokemon Go epidemic that happened last year or the year before. But yeah, Pokemon Go was good. Used to play with the cards in the playground, I think. But yeah, so Game Boy Advance favourite game was Pokemon Emerald. Now I've left PC last, not really for a reason, but when I was thinking about PC games, there are so many that I've played. I mean, recently in the past 4 or 5 years, since I've not been living at home, and not had access to a well, I had a decent gaming PC my dad built for me, so I've not really had access to it, and he got rid of it. So my PC gaming has kind of come to a stop, and I use a Mac, so you can't game on a Mac. It'd just be absolutely ludicrous. So I'm looking back, I played so many games. I have to do a couple of honourable mentions for the PC, starting off with the original Call of Duty. I remember getting that for a birthday when it came out, and it was epic, really good, before all this jumping about and space stuff, you know, just the original one. If you've not played it, you could probably pick up for about 25p, I assume, or maybe it's worth a bit of money, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can get it on the PC, so if you've got a laptop, any laptop will run it, because it's an old game. Next up, another one, another old one, is Age of Empires. Now, I really love RTS games. I absolutely love them. I'm a bit of a turtle when I play those games, very defensive. But yeah, Age of Empires, used to play a lot of that. It's a game you can just play on your own. The AI was good enough for you to challenge you with the different difficulties. I'm not even sure if there was multiplayer on the original Age of Empires. Who cares? But yeah, that features for sure. And Battlefield 1942. Obviously, I love my World War II. I love my history. So Battlefield 1942 is another honourable mention. Played a lot of that, and Battlefield 2. There's lots of games, but the winner of my favourite PC game of all time is one I very much doubt you've heard of. Is a game called Zed, by the Bitmap brothers, I think it was by. This was an RTS game, but this was seriously simple. You can actually get this on your phone now. They've ported it over to iPhone on the App Store, and you can get it. You can actually buy it on. Get it on your Mac, or you probably get it on PC, but you may or may not have heard of it. Very, very simple strategy game. It was red versus blue. You just move up the map, collecting these flags and taking over parts of the map and picking up vehicles, but very, very basic. And it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And some of the best memories playing that with my dad. So Zed, thinking about it, is probably a very close contender for my favourite game of all time. But we'll have a little think. And up next, we'll talk about, I think we'll name my favourite game of all time. So we've been on a bit of an adventure going through my favourite games. There's probably a couple that I've missed here and there that I've not really thought about, because I've just it's all off the top of my head. I don't have any of the games in front of me to look at. It's just thinking back of the strongest memories I had on these consoles and handheld devices and a PC. But it's time to decide, and this is not easy. In fact, whilst I've been making this video, I've changed my mind about 4 or 5 different times. So it's tough, really tough. And I'm going to do the top 2. And they are a hair's width away, for very different reasons, but a hair width. So the runner-up for my favourite game of all time is Halo on the Xbox. Yeah, the reason why it is so high up, and I think so much about it, and it was originally when I was planned this video was the #1 game, but a game that I mentioned before has kind of stolen it when I've thought about it. But this game was the epitome of not necessarily making friends, but making memories with friends. I used to play a lot of, in fact, I'd probably include the whole franchise. But Halo 1 in particular, I used to play with my friend, and we just played so much, and it was so good, so good. So it's up there. It's a very close second to my favourite game of all time. So Halo, well done, I guess. Well done. So that leaves me with the winner, and a game that I actually thought only remembered quite late on when I was making this video. And then the second I remembered it, I slapped myself thinking, how did I not remember this game? And it's the one I mentioned just before, it's Zed. This game for me was just the epitome of my childhood. The game I played, not necessarily the most of, but growing up I loved it. I used to have dreams about the bloody game. I really did like it that much. The great thing is I've actually got it. Whilst I've realised you could get it on the App Store, I've got it on my computer. So I think I might even do a play along if you've never heard of it before. But if you haven't, and I know for a fact that you can get it on your phone, and you can get it on, if you own a Mac, you can get it on the App Store. So seriously, go check it out. It's not going to blow your head off. It's not. The graphics aren't. It's all 8-bit. You know, it's not nothing special. But and maybe when I replay it, I might not think it's that good. But the memories I had of it are second to none. It makes you feel a little bit emotional when you think back, because it really was good. I used to, you know, when you used to get wet lunch times when you're at school where it was raining. Well, I'd sit in and I'd just draw the characters at war with each other. Just scribbles and like shooting at each other and things like that. Really sad, but I used to think about that game all the time. Yeah, it's a real part of my childhood growing up. So that's the reason why Zed is the winner of my favourite game of all time. So there we have it. Zed won. Amazing work. Amazing. Just brought back so many good memories. If there's any games that you really like, if you've played any of these before, or you can let me know your favourite games, whatever you want, just drop it in the comments below. That'd be really grateful. I'd be really grateful, sorry. If you want to subscribe, like the video, share it if you've liked it, do whatever you want with it. Don't really care. Well, I do. It would help me out quite a lot. But yeah, I guess that's all for today's video. I might even do a little play along with it. I'm not sure yet. We'll have a think. But if you liked it, let me know. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.